Level 1. The crooked stance. The Monte Carlo is still sitting on its tires when you realize the job is worse than the owner described. From the sidewalk, the car looks low. Up close, the left rear corner sits higher. One front tire nearly touches the inner fender, and the body looks twisted even though the pavement is flat. The owner wants it fixed before Saturday. He has a cruise planned and no interest in hearing how an old suspension can turn a cheap job into a weekend problem. You already gave him a price. If the hours keep growing, most of your profit disappears. A year ago, you would have blamed the springs, swapped parts, and chased the stance until both rocker panels looked level. Now you slow down. You measure all four corners, check tire clearance, raise the car safely, and inspect the control arms, bushings, and previous suspension work. The problem is not one bad part. It is several small compromises stacked on top of each other. The cheapest fix could make the car look right while parked. The better fix means undoing work someone else already charged for. You choose the second option. By Friday night, the floor is covered with old hardware and replacement parts. The owner checks in and gets quieter when you say the car is still apart. You are tired. Your hourly pay on the job is collapsing. Then you lower the Monte Carlo. Both sides settle evenly. The front wheels turn without scraping. The car enters the driveway without one corner dragging. It does not look dramatically different from what the owner originally wanted. That is the point. He pays almost exactly what you quoted. After parts and extra hours, you make very little. But when he drives away to the cruise, the car looks calm in motion instead of merely impressive at the curb. That teaches you the first rule that follows every build after it. Making a lowrider sit low is easy to notice. Making it sit right is harder. Level 2. More than low. A hydraulic pump, cylinders, hose, and batteries cover your garage floor. The owner points at the parts and asks the question you are starting to hear more often. How high can you make it lift? You used to think lowrider work was mostly about stance. Hydraulics change the job. The system has to move the car, but the rest of the car still has to live with that movement. Components need secure placement, lines need protection, and the trunk still has to remain usable. He wants quick movement. He wants the deck open at cruises. He wants the installation to look clean enough that people gather around it. He also wants trunk space. You cannot maximize everything. A tighter installation would hide more hardware, but it would make inspection and service harder. You choose function over hiding the system. The rack sits farther forward than he expected. Some trunk space disappears. You keep the layout organized, protect vulnerable runs, and leave access for future checks. When the owner sees the finished trunk, his face drops. He tells you it looks busier than setups he has seen online. For a moment, you think you made the wrong call. Then the car goes through its first test. It raises evenly. It settles evenly. Nothing rubs. Nothing leaks. Nothing needs a quick excuse. A few weeks later, the owner sends you a photo from a Sunday cruise. The trunk is open, people are standing around the car, and his message is only one line. His friend wants your number. The lesson changes. A lowrider is not only the shape people see from across a parking lot. Once you make the car move, you become responsible for everything that moves with it. Level 3. Pint shows everything. Marcus runs his hand across the Impala's quarter panel, then circles 3 spots with a grease pencil. You barely see anything wrong. The customer definitely will not see it once the car is covered in color. That is your argument. Marcus does not care. The car is scheduled for deep candy paint, the kind of finish that reflects every body line and exposes every mistake underneath it. A shallow wave in the metal, an old repair buried under filler, or a panel that was never blocked straight can disappear under primer and return the moment the final finish starts shining. You have already promised a delivery window. The hydraulics are finished. The chrome is ordered. Upholstery is waiting on your call. Every extra day here delays something else. You tell Marcus to make the surface work. He refuses, not dramatically. He points at the quarter panel and tells you that expensive paint does not fix cheap preparation. It magnifies it, so you authorize more teardown. Old material comes off. Previous repairs appear. One section needs reshaping instead of covering. The schedule slips. Materials increase, and the profit you expected from paint starts disappearing. The customer visits halfway through and finds his car looking worse than when he dropped it off. Bare metal. Dust. Guide coat. He asks why a finished-looking car had to go backward. This time, you can explain without hiding behind technical language. Anything you leave underneath becomes part of the final car whether people can see it or not. Weeks later, the body finally wears color. Under the shop lights, the candy finish stretches across the panels without obvious waves or broken reflections. The customer walks around it slowly, then stops talking. You thought paint was the part people paid for. Now you understand that paint only reveals what the builder was willing to do before anyone could see the result. Level 4. The Club Deadline. The 1964 Impala arrives already carrying someone else's decisions. The body is straight enough to build from, the chrome is usable, and the owner has one date circled on his calendar. A local club event. He wants the car there under its own power, sitting right, lifting cleanly, and looking finished enough that nobody sees it as a project. For him, this is not just a deadline. His father took him to cruises as a kid. Now his own family will see the finished car with the club that helped shape the build. That makes the date heavier. You are coordinating the whole car now. Hydraulics, bodywork, interior, trim, wheels, final stance. Every delay pushes into someone else's schedule. Elena, one of the club organizers, checks in because she knows what the car means to its owner. During inspection, you find an older modified section around the rear structure. Nothing is visibly cracked. The accessible welds look acceptable. Measurements do not show an obvious failure. But the previous work is old, partially hidden, and not yours. Opening it completely would mean removing finished material and adding time you have not promised. You document what you can see and make a judgment call. You leave the section closed. Then the build becomes a race of coordination. Marcus finishes the body. Upholstery lands 2 days late. One chrome piece comes back needing correction. You spend the final nights checking clearances, cycling the hydraulics, and chasing small details. The Impala makes it. Candy burgundy under the lights. Silver patterned roof. Cream interior. Chrome wire wheels sitting exactly where the owner imagined them. The club surrounds the car before the family photos are finished. Elena smiles. The owner looks at you like you gave him more than a finished vehicle. Your phone starts collecting names before the night is over. One complete lowrider now carries your reputation through the local scene. And because the night goes perfectly, the judgment call under the rear of the car stops feeling important. Level 5. Your name on it. The first week after the club event, your phone does not stop. A Cutlass owner wants a full hydraulic setup. A Monte Carlo needs paint and interior work. 2 people ask about complete builds before you know where you would put the cars. They are not cold leads. One came through Elena. Another saw the burgundy Impala at the club event. Another says a cousin watched one of your cars cruise past without rubbing, dragging, or being loaded onto a trailer. Until now, you have been selling labor. Now people are buying your name. They ask what paint shops you trust, how long chrome usually takes, whether the car will be ready for a cruise, a club anniversary, a family event, or a show. The build calendar starts filling around the community calendar. That difference feels like success. It also changes the way money reaches you. Deposits arrive before work begins. Hydraulic parts, wheels, chrome, upholstery materials, and paint get ordered months before final assembly. On paper, the shop looks busier than ever. In reality, much of the money passing through your hands already belongs to unfinished cars. You know you should slow down. Instead, you remember the years when you took any side job you could get. Turning away a paying customer still feels irresponsible. So you keep saying yes. 1 car becomes 3. 3 become 5. Your evenings fill with measurements, supplier calls, invoices, missing trim, wheel questions, and customers asking the same thing from different numbers. When will mine be ready? The work is still good. That makes the problem harder to recognize. Nothing has failed yet. Nobody is demanding a refund. Your reputation is still climbing. If you'd trust your own name to a build like this, hit like and subscribe. By the end of the month, you realize your most valuable resource is no longer a welder, a paint booth slot, or a hydraulic pump. It is empty time, and you have almost none left. Level 6. 3 cars, 1 bay, 3 lowriders are waiting for space, and you have 1 bay where the most important assembly work happens. A Pearl Cream Cutlass needs its hydraulic system finished before a club cruise. A Monte Carlo is waiting on bodywork so it can make a paint slot. Another Impala is supposed to leave for upholstery before the shop loses the appointment. You cannot physically touch all 3 cars at once anymore, so the job changes. Marcus takes responsibility for more paint preparation. Upholstery goes to a shop you trust. Chrome leaves the building entirely. Wheel fitment has to be confirmed before parts disappear into someone else's schedule. You spend more time checking work, answering customers, ordering parts, and deciding which car gets the bay next. Being the builder no longer means doing every task yourself. It means making sure the finished lowrider still feels like one car. Then one customer changes his mind. The wire wheels he approved no longer fit the look he wants. He also wants a different paint direction, even though materials have been purchased and bodywork has started. The request sounds simple. It is not. New wheel dimensions affect clearance. The paint change moves Marcus's schedule. Parts already ordered cannot all be returned, and another car loses bay time. At the same time, a chrome supplier misses a cruise deadline. Deposits are coming in, so are invoices. Revenue looks strong while available cash feels small. You know the obvious answer. Accept fewer cars. Instead, you convince yourself this is only a scheduling problem. You build a larger calendar, write better job sheets, and track club dates beside supplier dates. And somehow, everything keeps moving. No car leaves unsafe. No customer walks away. No major mistake reaches the street. That success becomes evidence for the decision you already wanted to make. You keep accepting work. For months, the system holds together because you are always close enough to catch problems. What you do not notice is that the shop now depends on you catching every one of them. Level 7. The car that can do both. The next customer surprises you before the car enters the bay. He does not ask how high it can lift. He does not ask for the loudest paint, the biggest display, or the most extreme parked stance. He wants a lowrider he can actually use. A deep emerald green 1963 Impala convertible that can sit properly at a show, raise when the road demands it, cruise for hours without becoming exhausting, and still feel special when he parks it at night. A few years earlier, you might have called that a compromise. Now it sounds difficult. Every dramatic choice affects something else. More movement demands more clearance and structural attention. Aggressive wheel fitment reduces margin through the suspension's travel. A perfect parked stance means little if the tires rub entering a gas station. So instead of asking what will get the biggest reaction, you ask what the owner actually does with the car. Weekend cruises, club meetups, dinner with his wife, long afternoons where the driving matters as much as the parking. That changes the build. The hydraulic setup stays responsive without chasing maximum movement. Wheel clearance is checked through the usable range. The interior stays comfortable. Cooling and brakes get the same attention as chrome and upholstery. When the Impala is finished, it is not the wildest car associated with your shop. At the first gathering, other cars lift higher, wear more elaborate paint, and pull bigger crowds. Then your customer leaves. He raises the car, clears the parking lot exit, settles it into a comfortable cruising height, and disappears into traffic without anyone pushing, adjusting, or fixing anything. You watch him go. Your definition of a successful lowrider changes. The highest level of craftsmanship may not be making a car do the most. Sometimes it is making the owner choose to drive it again tomorrow. Level 8. The crack under chrome. The burgundy Impala is already in the air when you see the rear of the body move in a way it should not. Elena brought the car back before another club event. It still looks beautiful. The paint is deep. The chrome is clean. Nothing from 10 feet away suggests a serious problem. Then you cycle the hydraulics. One rear corner hesitates. You stop. At first, you expect a component issue. Maybe something in the hydraulic system. Maybe a mounting problem. Once the car is safely supported and the rear section is opened, the old modified area from the original build is exposed farther than before. Cracking. Deformation. Evidence that the hidden structure has been moving in ways your earlier inspection could not reveal. The same section you documented and chose not to open completely. The room Kietz. Elena does not accuse you. She asks one question. Can the car still make the event? You know the answer she wants. A smaller repair might make the area look acceptable again. But now that you have seen what is underneath, you cannot verify the car well enough to put it back into service that way. You tell her the car is staying. Chrome comes off. Interior panels come out. Access opens wider. The more you expose, the clearer the correct repair becomes. The affected section has to be rebuilt properly before the car sees another full hydraulic cycle. The bill grows by the hour. You absorb most of it. Not because Elena demands it, because your name was on the earlier decision. The Impala misses the event. Your schedule absorbs the repair. So does the profit from other jobs. But the worst part is not the money. It is realizing that the car everyone remembers for candy paint, chrome, and a perfect club night was carrying a problem beauty could not erase. The car that built your reputation also carried the decision that could have broken it. Level 9. No more mystery work. The first change is not a new tool. It is a rule. No complete build enters your schedule until you know what you are actually building on. Questionable previous fabrication gets inspected before you promise a delivery date. Structural areas are photographed. Existing modifications are documented. Customer changes become written change orders instead of parking lot conversations. Hydraulic testing happens before the final cosmetic rush. You also stop treating deposits like permission to fill every empty corner of the shop. The number of complete builds drops. So does revenue. At least at first. Some customers understand immediately. Others do not. One man brings in a Chevrolet expecting hydraulics within 2 weeks. You tell him the old rear work needs to be opened before you will quote the complete job. He asks why he should pay to take apart something that is not visibly broken. A few years earlier, you would have found a way to keep him happy. Now you explain it simply. You cannot guarantee new work attached to something you were never allowed to examine. He leaves. The empty space in your schedule hurts. Then something else changes. Cars already inside move more predictably. Marcus gets realistic paint dates instead of emergency calls. Upholstery appointments stop being booked around guesses. Customers see photographs before hidden work is covered. You make less money from promises. You spend less fixing surprises. The business feels smaller and stronger. Then another customer pushes back on a structural recommendation. He says it is his car, his money, and his decision. He is not entirely wrong. But if the finished lowrider leaves under your name, responsibility does not disappear because the request came from the owner. Would you lose the customer or build exactly what they're paying for? Tell me where you'd draw the line. You let the job go. The bay stays empty for 3 days. For the first time, empty space does not feel like failure. It feels like control. Level 10. Built to be Driven Devon arrives with the kind of project that would have thrilled you a few years earlier. Classic GM coupe. Serious budget. Candy paint. Full hydraulics. Custom interior. Chrome everywhere. And a show date that is far too close. He has enough money to make the build profitable and enough confidence in your reputation to expect the schedule to work. You inspect the car. Several areas need more time before you are willing to build over them. Nothing is obviously catastrophic. That makes the decision harder. Devon offers more money. He tells you he accepts the risk. Years ago, that would have sounded like permission. Now it does not. You explain the inspection process, the structural work you require, and the testing window you will not remove. If the show date matters more than those steps, he needs another shop. The largest potential build on your calendar is sitting directly in front of you. Then Devon takes the keys and leaves. No argument. Just an empty space where a profitable car could have been. That afternoon, another lowrider is ready for delivery. Not the most expensive car you have built. Not the wildest paint. Not the highest lift. The owner checks the trunk, raises the car, lowers it, then pulls onto the street. No trailer. No emergency adjustment. No part you are thinking about after he turns the corner. A week later, you see the same car again. Not under shop lights. It is rolling with a line of lowriders on a neighborhood cruise. Paint catching the evening light. The car settles at a stop, raises for a rough entrance, then drops again once the road opens. Nothing about the movement interrupts the way the car looks, and nothing about the way it looks asks the owner to stop using it. That is when the whole journey connects. Sitting low was never the same as sitting right. Hydraulics made movement your responsibility. Paint revealed what was underneath. The club scene taught you that a lowrider carries the owner's history, family, community, and name. The cracked Impala taught you that chrome can hide a problem only until the car has to move. You used to think the highest level of lowrider building would be the car that drew the biggest crowd. Now you know better. A real lowrider has to be right twice. When it is sitting still, and when it is moving, because the build is not finished when everyone turns to look. It is finished when the owner can drive away, return tomorrow, and still be proud to.